Chapter 1 of Philosophy. Philosophy seems to me to be amongst men now, in the same manner as corn and wine are said to have been in the world in ancient time. Like a fad, or like it's the main. Man, you got that corn and wine. You got that philosophy from the beginning. There were vines and ears of corn growing here and there in the fields, but no care was taken for the planting and sowing of them. Men lived therefore upon acorns, and if any were so bold as to venture upon the eating of those unknown and doubtful fruits, they did it with danger of their health. In like manner every man brought philosophy, that is natural reason, into the world with him. For all men can reason to some degree and concerning some things, but where there is need of a long series of reasons, there most men wander out of the way and fall into error for want of method, as it were for want of sowing and planting, that is, of improving their reason. And from hence it comes to pass that they who content themselves with daily experience, which may be likened to feeding upon acorns, and either reject or not much regard philosophy, are commonly esteemed, and are indeed men of sounder judgment than those who, from opinions, though not vulgar, yet full of uncertainty and carelessly received, do nothing but dispute and wrangle, like men that are not well in their wits. I confess indeed that part of philosophy by which magnitudes and figures are computed is highly improved, but because I have not observed the like advancement in the other parts of it, my purpose is, as far forth as I am able, to lay open the few and first elements of philosophy in general, as so many seeds, from which pure and true philosophy may hereafter spring up by little and little. I am not ignorant how hard a thing it is to weed out of men's minds such inveterate opinions as have taken root there and been confirmed in them by the authority of most eloquent writers, especially seeing true that is accurate philosophy professedly rejects not only the paint and false colors of language, but even the very ornaments and graces of the same. And the first grounds of all science are not only not beautiful, but poor, arid, and in appearance deformed. Nevertheless, there being certainly some men, though but few, who are delighted with truth and the strength of reason in all things, I thought I might do well to take this pains for the sake even of those few. I proceed therefore to the matter, and take my beginning from the very definition of philosophy, which is this. Philosophy is such knowledge of effects or appearances as we acquire by true ratiocination from the knowledge we have first of their causes or generation, and again of such causes or generations as may be from knowing first their effects. So we'll have to get back to all that. But that's chapter 1 of philosophy from the De Corpore. The De Corpore, this is something he wrote before the prose life, the verse life. Explanatory notes, the verse life. This means he wrote a poem? The verse life. Yeah. A contemporary translation in 1588 old style, when that armada did invade our isle, called the Invincible, whose freight was then nothing but murder and steel and murdering men, most of which navy was dispersed or lost, and had the fate to perish on our coast, April the 5th, though now with age outworn, in the early spring, I, a poor worm, was born, in Malmesbury, baptized and named there by my own father, then a minister. Many things worth relating had this town, and first a monastery of renown, and castle or two, rather it may seem, on a hill seated with a double stream, almost environed, from whence still are sent two burgesses to sit in parliament. Here lies the bones of noble Athelstan, whose stone effigies does there remain, who for reward gave them the neighboring plains, which he had moistened with the blood of Danes. Here was the Roman muse by Adelbert. Here also the first Latin schools taught. My native place I'm not ashamed to own. The ill times and ills born with me I bemoan, for fame had rumored that a fleet at sea would have caused our nation's catastrophe, and hereupon it was my mother dear did bring forth twins at once, both me and fear. For this my country's foes I ever did hate, with calm peace and my muse associate. Did learn to speak 4 languages to write, and read them too, which was my sole delight. 6 years in the Greek and Latin tongue I spent, and at 14 I was to Oxford sent, and there of Magdalen Hall admitted I myself to logic first, did then apply, and sedulously I my tutor heard, who gravely read, although he had no beard, Barbara Celerent, Derry, Ferrio, Barra Lipton. These modes hath the first figure, then goes on, Caesar, Comestres, Festino, Baracco, Derapti. This hath the modes the same variety, Philaptin, Disamus, Dotisi, Bocardo, Pharisson. These just so many modes are looked upon, which I, though slowly learn, and then dispense with them, and prove things after my own sense. The physics read, and my tutor displayed, how all things were of form and matter made. The airy particles which make forms we see, both visible and audible, to be the effects of sympathy, antipathy, and many things above my reach, taught me, therefore, more pleasant studies I then sought, which I was formerly, though not well taught. My fancy and my mind divert I do with maps celestial and terrestrial too. Rejoice to accompany soul clothed with rays. Know by what art he measures out our days. How Drake and Cavendish a girdle made quite round the world, what climates they surveyed, and strive to find the smaller cells of men, and painted monsters in their unknown den. Nay, there's a fullness in geography, for nature ever abhorred vacuity. Thus in due time took I my first degree of bachelor in the university. Then Oxford left, served Cavendish, known to be a noble and conspicuous family. It just says Cavendish. Our college rector did me recommend. And he goes on like this for fucking pages. You son of a bitch. Just gonna do 4 more. Where I most pleasantly my days did spend, the youth tutor to youth, for he was still under command, and his father's will served him full 20 years, who proved to be not a lord only, but a friend to me. That my life's sweetest comfort was, and made my slumbers a pleasant in night's darkest shade. La-di-da-di-da. Okay, so Homer, Virgil, Horace, Sophocles, Plautus, Euripides. Oh, good old Euripides. How's Euripides these days? Dead? What? How? Oh my God. I didn't know. I had no idea. Frederick Douglass, how's he doing? What? Well, as long as Fred Hampton still lives. What? Good old Euripides. Aristophanes. I understood nay more, but of all these, there's none that pleased me like Thucydides. He says democracy's a foolish thing, then a republic wiser is one king. You motherfucker! Hobbes is a conservative? This author I taught English, and that even he a guide to rhetoricians might be to foreign countries. Hobbes can't even spell, you son of a bitch. This right-wing conservative son of a bitch, you love kings so fucking much? If you love tyranny so goddamn much, Hobbes. At the time did I travel, saw France, Italy, Germany. This debonair lord, the Earl of Devonshire, I served complete the space of 20 years. His life by sickness conquered, fled away to exchange it for a better the last day. You know what? Fuck you, Hobbes. Actually, I'm going to mark this. I enjoyed reading it. I don't know. We'll come back. We will come back. The only thing I want to talk about, because I thought it was just so crystal clear. You had Charles I. He was an asshole. They chopped off his head, and then they got a constitution, a Bill of Rights, and they got the 3 branches of government. They got it all. They got it all. Every bit of it. When was Montesquieu in his little treatise? Montesquieu, French philosopher Montesquieu, famous for the 3 branches of government. He wrote the Spirit of the Laws, the Baron de Montesquieu, Charles Louis de Secondot, See, the reason why America came to be was because of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and this Montesquieu, he went ahead and did the spirit of the law, which, you know, we have executive and the separation of powers. He did the separation of powers. So Montesquieu is fucking brilliant. Every constitution in the entire fucking world recognizes the separation of powers. And then we also have a federalist system. And why would we separate powers and have a federalist system? So we never have a tyrant. So we never have an autocrat. So we never have a dictator. You don't want just some asshole saying, I'm, you know, king over you and I get to rule over you because fuck you and I like power and I want all the spoils of war and I just want you to be my fucking slave and fuck you. No, that's fuck you. You can't do that to people. What the fuck? The Spirit of the Laws was published in 1748, so he would have been after Hobbes. Hobbes is a conservative because he's defending the royalist. But in defending the royalist, he comes up with a whole list of, you know, natural rights. We have a right to defend ourselves, a right to engage in a social contract, a right to a fair judge and arbitration and mediation, and a right to a fair trial with witnesses and a whole bunch of stuff. And natural law isn't just what man does in the state of nature. You know, it's what man does in the state of nature, meaning rational man. So, yeah, in the state of nature, you definitely defend yourself, but in the state of nature, rational man says, well, shit, I don't want anybody attacking me. I have a right to defend myself. So, of course, rational man has a right to defend himself. What kind of piece of shit would say, no, you don't have a right to defend yourself? What kind of piece of shit would try to fucking claim that? You have no right to defend yourself. So, I have here in the very beginning this timeline. So, Thomas Hobbes, thought that the Charles I got his head chopped off. And then we got a, English Bill of Rights. Now, it didn't happen that directly. It did not happen that directly. Leviathan is going to get published in 1651. And so, man, I had this shit marked. But we will find it. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. So he was born in 1588. Thomas Hobbes is an old motherfucker. When it comes to the Enlightenment, I don't know who's older, Thomas Hobbes or fucking Copernicus. But Copernicus would probably be the beginning of the Enlightenment, right? With the revolutions, which was the revolutions of the heavenly bodies. He was talking about, he said that God didn't make man and that the planets and the sun and the moon didn't revolve around Earth. Copernicus. That silly goat. That silly goosey goat. That goosey goaty cow. What a goosey goaty cow pig. Okay, so Hobbes' first visit to continent. What continent? Conversations with Francis Bacon. 1620. So he's born 1588, right? 1588. He's educated to high standards in Greek and Latin at local schools. 4 to 8 years of age, and then he goes to Magdalen Hall, Oxford, awarded a BA in February 1608. He got himself a goddamn BA when he was 20 years old. Dislikes Oxford's Aristotelianism. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and go straight to 1640. He's going to write my little treatise in English. Namely, Elements of Law, Natural and Politic, which contains Human Nature and De Corpore Politico, written and widely circulated amongst friends in MS copies. Now he's going to go to France, because he's like, fuck, this goddamn civil war is coming to England. 1640 to 1651, sojourn in France, to which Hobbes fled at the end of 1640, in anticipation of civil war in England, and in apprehension of the dangers to himself inherent in his doctrines as expressed in the little treatise. Now, since America was formed with constitutions and bills of rights and a republic, right? We gave you a republic if you could keep it. And then all the other 50 states are republics too. So we have not just the bills of rights and the Constitution to prevent tyranny. We also have a federalist system, 50 states, and each one of them has their own constitution, and each one of them has their own 3 branches of government. Why? To prevent tyranny. Why do we have a federalist system? To prevent tyranny. Why do we have bills of rights and a constitution? To prevent tyranny. Now, during an emergency situation, could Cincinnati say, okay, we're going to have martial law because we need to go stop the invading Russians. The damn Russians are invading us, So we need to implement martial law for a year and then just, be a tyrant. Yes, you can be a tyrant in a democracy, in an emergency situation. But once the war is over, then we go back to being a democracy. If anything, Cincinnatus needs to do exactly what Cincinnatus did and step down. Go back to farming. Thank you. You're a good warrior general. When we needed you to step up, you stood up for your nation, and we've been able to. But now, let's go to civil society. You're a good warrior. If you want to establish new constitutions or what have you, all right, sure, but you need to step down. That's the most fucking important thing. The peaceful transfer of power. There's a war of the Austrian succession. The war of the Austrian succession because the king didn't have a fucking child, and he didn't clearly say who was going to be the next king, after he died. He didn't say, okay, I didn't have a child, so it's going to be, Mark Antony. Or it's going to be, Marcus Aurelius. He didn't specifically point to his successor, and there's this big global conflict. And I want to say the 7 Years' War, the French and Indian War, happened in North America, which was basically a subsidiary of the War of Austrian Succession. So knowing who the hell is going to be next in line is important. Sojourn in France, to which Hobbes fled at the end of 1640 in anticipation of civil war in England, and in apprehension of the dangers to himself inherent in his doctrines as expressed in the little treatise. 1642, it's going to get published in Latin in Paris, De Civi, an expanded version of De Corpore Politico. First conversation with Bramhall, Bishop of Derry, concerning liberty and necessity. Tutor to the future Charles II, then taken refuge in Paris. Severe illness, receives sacrament according to the rite of the Church of England from the future Bishop of Durham. And then he's going to write the Leviathan in France. So this English guy, this English hero, which is amazing. I mean, how many English speakers are a part of the motherfucking Enlightenment, right? You had Voltaire, right? Rousseau. You had all these French motherfuckers, right? So we don't have, they try to say other French assholes are good, but we don't really have, too many good superstars in fucking English. Cromwell is a superstar in English history. Hobbes is a superstar in English history. William and Mary are superstars. The Bill of Rights, that's William and Mary. We'll get to that in a second. Because Hobbes is going to come from the English Civil War. The dates of the English Civil War are as follows. 1642 to 1651. So he got out of Dodge 2 years before the English War began. The English War lasts 9 years, almost a decade, right? Nearly 10 years. When it's over, that's when he publishes Leviathan. He publishes it in 1651, and then that's when it's over. Then De Civi is published in English in London. Hobbes returns to England in 1652. So once the parliamentarians won, which is actually kind of remarkable, the parliamentarians won, then he goes back. Well, the Civil War is over, and he's just a professor, right? Well, what are you professing? That we need to go back to royalists and monarchy and autocrat? Can you think of other industries where there's a dictator or an autocrat or a monarch? A monarch is just ruled by one, which is an autocrat. That's why they overthrew the autocrat, the Bolsheviks and the royalists. I mean, even you had the French Revolution and the American Revolution that overthrew the royalists, but you also had the Romans in 500 BC. They overthrew their fucking royalists. Rational man can't. You just want to rule over me, and you've been ruling over me the whole time, and your mother and your fucking father and your fucking grandfather, because your entire shit family has been ruling over us. We just have to keep on getting oppressed by you. Fuck you. No, fuck you. Hey, man, we get to rule over you. How come? Because Becky's my mama? Because Becky's your mama? Yeah, Becky ruled over everybody, so I get to rule over everybody. Motherfucker, if she got away with ruling over everybody, it's because you guys are scared of her and you didn't stand up for shit, but she didn't have the consent of the government, and you know what? I'm about constitutions and 3 branches of government and motherfucking bills of rights. Nah, I'm against your tyranny. I'm against your autocracy. I'm against your goddamn monarchy bullshit. Bunch of monarchs. Well, teachers, corporations, bosses, cops, police chief, county commissioners. There's always one fucking guy that's the leader of the other two, right? They're all fucking authoritarian oppressors in some respect. To different varying degrees. How come? We live in America. They're going to make sure the states have a republic, make sure the states are a democracy. I'm going to run my household with, not only a parent's bills of rights, but a children's bill. Really, there's both. I think Colorado's got both a parent's and a children's bill of rights. But with everybody having all the freedoms that's embedded in the U.S. Constitution and the Colorado Constitution, yeah, I'm going to run a democratic household. I'm going to have a democratic republic. Yeah, I'm the boss just because I'm the man and fuck you. No, fuck you. The only way you would need to crack down and be an authoritarian like that is during an emergency situation. If there's no emergency situation and there's 5 people, so you have wifey and 3 kids, you can't have a conversation with wifey and 3 kids about where you want the direction of your family to go. And a unit, while I want strong marriages and strong families, a unit that we don't talk about, a unit of government, a unit of people, a unit of whatever, is union shops, unionist. If men get together, humans, adults, but I'm thinking, okay, so people, adults get together at union shops. We have to work in order to live in America, right? So if we're going to be an adult, then we need to get together and find where the damn jobs are. Where are the jobs? Where's the money for the seeding of business? I got an idea. Is there a place where I could get some, an entrepreneur, some business seeding money? Jobs. You have to have a job. So if the company goes out, then everybody's going to be looking for work. But if you got support and other people that's looking out for you, and every other man that's a part of the union shop is looking for jobs too. So that's a group of people that I don't see much in America. Yeah, keep strong families. The family is more important than the marriage, but strong marriages, generally brings about strong families. So strong marriages, strong families, all well and good, but I want strong union shops, strong working class farmers, strong working class farming solidarity. Yeah, we all have to have a job. We all have to either have a business where we're making money for ourselves or we have to have a job. And that's it. Those are or get on welfare or something, get your Social Security, be old, get 67. Or be disabled. Get disabled, get on workman's comp, or turn 67 years of age. Then you'll get UBI. Then you'll get a check. But until you get that check, you have to, join the military, you have to get a job, right? Or start a business. Those are the 2 options. In America, start a business, get a job, or die. Those are the options. So I just want to correct the record. Thomas Hobbes is a conservative, probably like one of the few conservatives that I don't totally detest. It's interesting because he's basically saying by defending the king, he came up with individual freedoms and individual rights. And he took us back to the state of nature. So he says, well, God, if we don't have a government, if we don't have a good king, a Leviathan, a commonwealth, a nation state, if we don't have a strong government, then everybody's just going to kill everybody. It's just going to be a war of everybody against everybody. And man's life will just be solitary, nasty, brutish, and short. And that's like his famous quote. So without a Leviathan, a strong state, he's saying a monarch. He's saying an autocrat. But what our founders in America did is we want a strong state too. We just don't want a damn tyrant running roughshod over the rest of us. Now, a good Democratic, Republican, president, once you got the power, then you get in there and you just legalize marijuana, you get ranked choice voting, and you go ahead and get universal basic income. You have a constitutional convention, you go ahead and update the Bill of Rights. Once you've got the power, then you got the power, right? Then you get the legislature and then the judiciary. So once the legislature enables you, or you just go ahead and do it, and then either judiciary says it's not constitutional, or... So you want an effective president, you just don't want him to be a tyrant. And so the record that I want to correct is King Charles I got his head chopped off in 1649, and the Bill of Rights isn't going to happen until 1689. So we actually have 2 completely different events here. The main people that's in the English Civil War are your parliamentarians and your royalists, the people that supported your Hobbesian, right? The people that said, no, King Charles I is where it's at. King Charles the fucking first. Let's take a look at this rat bastard fuck. Is he really all that he's cracked up to be? She ain't what she used to be. She ain't what she used to be. 24 inches? Holy moly. A foot of snow? 2 foot of snow? That's fantastic. How else are the squirrels and the chipmunks going to survive? And the cabrit and the rabbits and the conejos. How are the conejos going to survive? So, I only got 4 minutes, so I got to get to my main point. I was just going to pull a picture of King Charles the fucking first. Cromwell isn't, any better looking, but it's just like, I am King Charles the first. I wear fancy clothes, so therefore I get to rule over you. Huh. And, these damn royalists, if they want to get smart, they would just, make sure the country has a constitution and a Bill of Rights and 3 branches of government. Make sure there's a federal system. You got states and the nation. Because all that fights in 3 branches, all that fights against tyranny. We're fighting against tyranny here. That's why we believe in democracy. That's why we believe in the republic. That's why Ben Franklin said, we get a republic if we can keep it. So Charles the First, he's going to get his head chopped off, right? Hi there, guys. I'm King Charles the First. And what an asshole. You don't want a fucking crown from the gutter? Oh, what the people want to make you the president of a constitutional Bill of Rights nation. A constitutional Bill of Rights nation with 3 branches of government. I don't want a crown from the gutter. These fucking assholes just take their tyranny and authoritarianism way too fucking far. And what happens when you take your tyranny and authoritarianism way too fucking far? Then you lose your head. You get guillotined. You get your head chopped off. You get Marie Antoinette. You get King Louis the 16th. Don't be an asshole. You don't want your head to get chopped off? Then don't be a tyrannical piece of shit. So the Bill of Rights is going to happen 40 years after he gets his head chopped off. I want to say it's probably from the same, group of people. But I don't know. The Civil War's from, the 40s, 1640s. And the main 2 people is King Charles I and Cromwell, Oliver Cromwell. And then Oliver Cromwell, basically, he's the one that does a constitution. He gets an instrument of government. So he starts a constitution, which is just his own piece of paper that says he gets to rule. But at least that's a piece of paper that says here's the rights and responsibilities of the president or whatever he called himself. Presidents are infinitely better than fucking kings and queens. Presidents actually have the elected people. The people have to vote for them. They got millions and millions of people who back them. Millions and millions of people says, yes, I want that president. Nobody said that about a king or queen. Nobody said, except for their mother and father. And half the time that's not even the case. They're terrible fucking parents. And if they're terrible fucking parents, how are they going to be a good father of the nation? Now you got to earn it like George Washington. You got to earn it like John Adams. You got to earn it like Abraham Lincoln. I'm the man. And I believe I'm the man. Most men do. But the man who convinces more men to be on his side gets to be the president. I like that better. That's a better monarch. It's a better autocrat. It's a better kind of tyrant. If you want a benevolent tyrant. It's just that they gotta fucking step down. You believe in a democratic republic, or are you just an authoritarian piece of shit? One more minute. So the Bill of Rights, that's Mary and William. And then Anne is going to come from them. And so King Charles II, he does come back. Hobbes, I think, was educating King Charles II. So King Charles II comes fucking back, that fucking dickhead. But we like Mary. Because William and Mary, they come back and they fucking throw James out, right? James II. So that's what the Bill of Rights comes from James the Second. Or the first. Some James. But William and Mary just come in and they conquer them. They just take over and they fucking run James out of Dodge. So those are the main two, James versus Mary and William. in 1689 versus 1649 when it was Oliver Cromwell versus Charles I.